I think one of the dynamics in Star Wars that's been difficult to balance is the dark side. We don't really have a word for the other side. Is it the light side? I don't know. You make up your own mind. The light side, the bright side, the funny side, the lighter side of life sort of thing. And you had the Ewoks, which were comic because they fell over a lot and had big goo eyes. You had C-3PO, who's funny because he has no sense of humor, and so everything that happens to him's pretty rough. So different, there's all sorts of types of humor in there. And then you had certain, I don't know, playfulness of 3PO and R2, particularly around, I think, episode 2, because by episode 3 we were getting pretty heavily dark, I think. But you need to have humor in there to balance out. I'm very, very fond of C-3PO, and it's as a character, as a person, as a thing. Actually, an it. Not even a him, it's an it. It doesn't sound right, though, does it? And that allows me to put up with frankly, the real discomfort and frustration of being in the suit, because there are so many things I can't do. If I want to reach out, I have to work out where the shoulder has to be, where the neck has to be, to allow me the freedom to do that movement, because as a human you do it automatically. I have to really think through every moment that I want to create a particular effect physically, and that becomes frustrating, not being able to easily use peripheral vision to see something that's coming up into, because I'm like a blinkered horse that will suddenly come across an object. Now I have to rehearse to know where that is to make it look real. You see, people watch the film and think it's natural and real, whatever, as far as a robot will be. It's not. I've pretty much had to rehearse out of costume to work out where my body has to go to achieve that. So it's kind of interesting. It's a challenge, it's a job, it's part of the job. People often ask me how 3PO can be so bright and polished and sparky. Of course, the one thing you don't want to be in a movie is bright and polished, because he will then reflect everything from the huge green screens or blue screens. He'll reflect the tea lady, he'll the first aid crew, the camera, the camera boom, the mic boom, and all that kind of thing. And somebody's got to sit there in a computer sort of using Photoshop to take it all away. So you really need him all kind of messed up and kind of a bit fuzzy, so that he doesn't reflect things. The one thing you don't need to use on him is Jabba slime. I was slightly worried a few years ago, premiere of episode 3 in London, and I had just rushed back from France, I think, from Cannes. And I was literally running around London, either with a car or when that disappeared, sort of. And somebody came up to me in the street near my home and said, "Are you Anthony Daniels?" And I kind of went, "Yeah." And I said, "Well, how do you know?" It was the way you walked. I was shocked. I'm not I do walk very fast, and I don't know, does 3PO walk fast? He walks in a way that is suitable for the scene, that's for sure. I'm not sure I walk like 3PO. I think I have quite a straight gait, as it was, but he's very upright. I slump like most humans, he doesn't. It's very difficult for me, as I happily seem to have evolved into some kind of ambassador sometimes for these movies, that I go to all sorts of countries, many countries, and they don't all speak English as their first language, and I generally have to explain that although 3PO is fluent in over 6 million forms of communication, unfortunately French or Italian or Spanish or German or Flemish or Portuguese, or Japanese, or Russian, is not one of them. So I will continue in my own language, English. It's a bit embarrassing, and I do actually try and learn opening sentences in the familiar language, because it's kind of polite.